Greetings and welcome to our devotion time. As we get a little bit closer to Christmas, I thought we would look at some Christmas stories here. In Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, Isaiah says this, Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son, and he will be called Emmanuel. And that's from Isaiah 7:14. What does God look like? How would we recognize God if he showed up? Artists throughout the centuries have attempted to depict God's image in all kinds of ways throughout the years here. And the Old Testament prophets try to give us a vision of who Messiah is as well, as they began to speak about and prophesy about this Messiah who would come and be called, as Isaiah said, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of his increase of his government and his peace there will be no end. And if you want to find that, that's Isaiah 9. But this Messiah King would also be a suffering and rejected king as well. Isaiah continues to tell us in chapter 54. His mission would clearly prioritize the poor and those who were really counted as insignificant in the world. Isaiah tells us that as well in chapter 61. Expectations of Messiah would be vastly different. And some of the different expectations would be contradictory to one another in the religious system. Some expected a worldly political revolutionary who would restore the glory days of David's kingdom in the Old Testament. Some visualized Messiah as one who represented the Greek ideal of the time Jesus was born, focusing in on not on life now in this world, but focusing on the life hereafter. What is your mental picture of God? Maybe when you go and pray, is he this critical one who is a condemning judge, or is he merciful? Is he like a loving parent? Does God, in your imagination, show favor to others over yourself? Does God love his creation? Is he reaching out to you and to all the world? What is his characteristics? Do you picture a Savior who is concerned only with saving people for the afterlife, or one who is actively engaged in the here and now, that he's with us today? He wants to restore those broken places in our world today. Do you believe that God always rewards obedience with material wealth, with physical health? Or does God remain present with us even in our poor times, in our pain, and in our suffering? Jesus wasn't really what folks expected. As a man, he lived in tension with organized religion, the religious system of his time. He resisted the world's obsession with wealth, with pleasure, with power, with recognition. He identified himself with the weak and the powerless, the widow and the orphan. He didn't condemn sinners, but defended them. So what does God look like? Well, our Bible says God looks like Jesus. Jesus was the embodiment of God's values and his priorities. He's Emmanuel, as Isaiah said, God with us. In Jesus we see not only the face of God, but also the fullness of humanity. And what I mean by that is that the scriptures say, as we look at Jesus' humanity, we see a picture of who God intended us to be. And so this Christmas, as we think about, once again, as we ponder Jesus, God with us, God coming into our world, let's envision this idea that God has a plan for our life, that we're to look like him and to behave like him. That's the God we're to go after, I think, is the one that is revealed to us in his holy scriptures. Well, you take care today, and I pray God's blessings, and I pray his peace be with you as we make final preparations for our holiday celebration here, whether it be with family or home alone. prepare your heart to encounter Him in the fullness of His Spirit and His glory. Well, you take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.